most admirable chasers you could possibly wish to see.
Hello and welcome to this week's edition of the Racehour. I'm Stephen Cass, joined by Diarmuid Nolan and Tony Keenan. Dermo, what you get up to the weekend? Had you a nice one?
I did. I just got back from Malta on Thursday night, so I was kind of relaxed enough now, Cass. So I had a
Hold
chill
on,
weekend
Dermo,
watching Leeds lose again.
Yeah. Sponsored by, you're about to give out to me. So listeners, this is better if we interrupt like this. Sponsored by Gambling.com and Bet365, home of the position payout, which we'll talk about later. So go on, Dermo. Sorry, you're back from Malta. Did you nice time in Malta?
Tony, you wouldn't jump across like you like that, Tony. I had a great time. I had a great time in Malta. Yeah, it was a good work trip. We got in a Malta-Poland match and everything. It was good fun, all right. Yeah.
Would you say, Tony, how many hours overs unders would you say was work on the trip? Would you give it 3.5 hours overs unders? Let's say.
With what he's wearing there tonight, he must have went Budapest to Malta on the way home to celebrate the party or something like that. I'd say the work rate was fairly low, Stephen. I don't know. I tell you, I love that jersey he is on him tonight now, and I hope we'll be wearing it for another few months, and we might get a twist out of them yet.
Yeah. The whole country's on a high here. You'd nearly feel sorry for the English, wouldn't you? They don't get to enjoy any of this. They'd be saying the Premier League is they'd be missing it when the internationals are on. But there's nothing more joyous than when your national team's going well and they're crap. You know, that's really what it's.
Yeah.
Right, Tony, your weekend, did you have a winning weekend? Our traditional question, which everyone wants to know, is Tony Keenan winning?
I don't know. I won small on Saturday and then I lost on Sunday. I kind of got a couple of short ones right over the weekend, but sure, you boys have probably given out to me. I was kind of trying to hit the moon with big price horses and multis and things like that and finished up giving a bit back. But anyway, do you know what mistake I made now on Sunday, lads? I went off studying Punchestown. And Jesus, do you know what? It was tough stuff, and I thought it was poor. Saturday Punchestown, I thought it was interesting, good punting card. But I'd have been far better studying Cork. I thought it was a much more interesting meeting from a betting point of view. I was kind of looking back at a few races from Cork there earlier. I was kind of annoyed I didn't study them. I studied a couple of races, and I thought they were very good. But the Punchestown, just left me a bit cold yesterday. The betting side of things, anyway.
Yeah, I'd agree with you. And look, we won't get into the Mullins domination again. It's so hard. The race like the John Durkan, so difficult to have a bet. You don't know, who's off and who's not from the yard. So it's tricky this time of year when they're making their comebacks and stuff. We're actually going to do an old-fashioned review here, mainly run through chronological through the days, because there was so much good racing and so much to talk about. And even I want to mention one on the Friday. I don't know, Dermo, you probably saw the bumper at Ascot on the Friday. Did you see that? There's a horse called The Walk who won it. Tizzards are absolutely flying.
Absolute sacred winners, yeah.
Yeah, and this fella, another walk in the park from the Tizzards, same as Lisbane Park, but he just looked like an absolute shell of a horse, only a frame, no weight on him, no behind on him, and still went out and won what looked a strong bumper on paper. There's a Skeleton one fancied, and Fergal O'Brien, the Paddy Brennan Race Club, had one that was kind of a shade of odds on, really fancied, and very, very impressive now. I thought The Walk, wouldn't think he's a Cheltenham bumper horse or anything like that now, because he's just such a shell, but Tizzards are making a comeback. The transition has happened from Colin to Joe, and they're stepping it up.
They're all flying, aren't they? All those horses, like every one of them, like that horse Rock My Way at the weekend. He was very lucky; he got bummed out on the Saturday. But every one of them to a horse are running unbelievable races.
Yeah. He's 30-something% strike rate or something like that at the moment. So that'll peter off. Yeah. But it's good to see. It's good to see it, and a different yard. Obviously, they always have plenty of winners, but he looks like he could battle his way in with Ben Pauling and with these other trainers that are coming up in the UK. So things are looking up anyway for the Tizzards, and that's a horse I'd say worth watching back. Dermo on Saturday then at Haydock, the big race of the weekend, apart from the John Durkan, was the Betfair Chase. Our old friends Handstands and Still Our Story didn't cover themselves with too much glory, but Grey Dawning was quite good. Can he emerge as a Gold Cup contender?
Yeah, I suppose last year they definitely bottomed him out. He was beaten last year in the same race, but on absolutely awful ground, and it kind of finished his whole season. I thought he was brilliant. That Harry Skelton's riding he's riding like a jockey now with no pressure on him. It's like he's done enough now. He's riding him cold and from the front. I think he's superb. This was a great ride. In the end, I'd love to have seen what he was actually holding on to. Had something else kind of come from the back because he was just holding them together. Royal Pagaille is, he's a real kind of, he's a bonny old horse there around Haydock. I think Grey Dawning is a very good horse. If he was to win a Gold Cup though, Cass, I'd be very disappointed. I think he's very good, but I think he's more of a like, I don't know, like a knackerat, like one of these horses who might win a bowl or something, but not something like this. I just, for a Gold Cup now, Grey Dawning wouldn't be one of them. Not that I'm kind of massively against him or anything. I just wouldn't be kind of pro him. I thought this was an okay race. I think Handstands and Centre Storage just kind of aren't of this parish. So in the end, it's hard to know what he actually did, for all that he couldn't have done it much easier, really, could he?
Yeah. And Dermo, we need to get the algorithm going by mentioning Cheltenham. So we call it the Cheltenham Gold Cup every time we say it. Okay?
Cheltenham Gold Cup.
Yeah, we say Cheltenham about 20 times now. The views will come. Yeah. So I suppose he'll go on to something like the Pillar Chase at Cheltenham and then onto the Cheltenham Gold
Cotswolds.
Cup.
Although he did mention the Lexus afterwards. He kept calling it the Lexus as well, which I found very funny. But he kept saying he said the Lexus, but then said probably the old Cotswolds.
It's funny you say that now, because I was actually thinking about him today and I didn't make this point. Look, he's a horse that you think Leopardstown would suit down to the ground, wouldn't you? Real,
yeah.
He can be handy and gallop away, especially if you don't have Gallop and Deschamps going for the race at Christmas. But geez, Christmas will come soon enough now after a hard race. You'd think they'd leave him off Irish Gold Cup Aintree. That's what I'd do with him.
Last year, going to the King George, didn't they, after the Betfair Chase, finished that horse for the season. So I'd say they'll probably kind of take it easy this year now.
The ground now a lot easier at Haydock this year. So you shouldn't, take as
shouldn't leave too much of a mark,
Yeah. What do you think of the race, Tony?
Well, just on Dan Skelton there, I hope he does learn a little bit and kind of leave him off for a little while afterwards. This thing about the Trainers' Championship maximising the prize money, that's why I wouldn't think he'd go to Leopardstown. I actually think it would suit him the finest, but I just think from a prize money point of view, he wouldn't want to do that. He's done this a couple of times with horses there. I think in years past he's done this. Horses really impressive on the return, and then maybe just backs them up a little quick. There was a horse that won the Schleur Chase one year and he went into the Tingle Creek. I think that was the end of him nearly for the season. I hope he doesn't do. I know Load of Sud's going to go to the Tingle Creek, but very interesting things. Sorry, I'm going off topic here, but I'm just talking about Skelton generally. I'd say he's improved obviously lots as a trainer, but maybe giving them a bit more time. I think he said he'd Load of Sud very fit for the Schleur, and the Tingle Creek is coming up. Like, I wonder, could he give him a bit of a break, maybe come back for something else?
Yeah, Clarence
just,
House
the temptation when they really win they win brilliantly well, and you're just going, God, there's a race here in 2 weeks. You nearly have to go for it.
Yeah,
but the season is still 3.5-4 months, and there's lots of prize money at the middle and the back. You make a good point. Like the Clarence House is something which can be a very ordinary race, really. Like, you could only have 3 to beat in it. Whereas the team
he made the same mistake last year. Do you remember he ran Load of Sud at Warwick, and he didn't need to run him at all, and I'd say it was his 4th run before the Arkle, and maybe left the Arkle behind him that day.
It was Nube Negra was the horse as well, Tony. I think they won the floor really easily, wasn't it?
Nube Negra, yes, that's the one. Yeah. Look, I know he had a bit of a hole in him maybe by the end too, but that's just something that I think he learned from that.
Oh no, sure.
I think he will learn. I feel like he's conscious of this, and he's mentioned it already. He probably will run Load of Sud in the Tingle Creek and then give him a good break. Yeah. I know exactly what you're saying. So that's Grey Dawning. The Jukebox Man, Dermo, my God, he's an old school impressive jumper, isn't he? His jumping is incredible.
Love the way that he was so confidently ridden as well. The only thing I would say is that Oloroco in second now, I'd say he's it's very hard to know when he's actually off that horse. It did feel like a race where the triers were very much at the front, just him, and the rest of them were happy enough to be kind of where they were. But saying that, great to see him back. He holds a high enough level last year for all that. I went through his form, like beating Highland in that Grade 1 last year at Kempton and stuff. It is hard to know kind of where he'll rank, but he goes into that King George now. Ben Pauling, he's not a yard who he's put a lot of work into his placing of horses, to contrary to kind of where Dan Skelton was, but I think Dan Skelton is better at this now. Ben Pauling's brilliant at placing them. Like he was going to put him into the old Paddy Power, and he said he just went through the whole book again and saw this race and realised that the horse could run in it because he only ran twice over fences. That's good placing as a trainer to kind of find that race and now go on to Kempton at Christmas with a horse who should be relatively fresh. So jumps really well. And Cass, he'll he proved it last year, but he's a real Kempton horse, isn't he? Just how he jumps and travels, isn't he?
Yeah, well, he attacks every fence, but we'll talk about the King George later. There's plenty of pace going to be on it, I'd say. So I wonder with the Jukebox Man, would he be able to settle in behind? Like, if you think of his good runs, Kempton last year, the weekend just gone, and the Albert Bartlett, like he's going and he's going and he's going a million. So it's going to be a big step up again now in the King George. So whether he can take that step up and still dominate from the front, could be a different
Pauling
story.
seems to want all his horses. Pauling and Ben Jones seem to really want them all dominating from the front anyway as well. Whatever it is, Handstands wasn't jumping at part of that Betfair chase, and they still made sure he got to the front. Not that he wouldn't have got any closer anyway, but Pauling, the only fault I can find with that Ben Pauling because I'm a big fan of them, is they seem to want everything handy. Everything seems to have to be handy.
Name a yard that doesn't. Like we talked about, Joe Tizzard there wants them handy. Mullins, they're nearly all going from the front these days. The Bromheads all go from the front, any of the good ones. Do you know what I mean? Henderson doesn't do it. Fair enough. Nicholls always traditionally out they go, gun and go. So could you name 3 good yards that they don't do that? Cromwell maybe, possibly. Henderson.
Cromwell at times. Henderson, Cromwell, Henderson. Yeah, that is probably it.
Yeah,
but
there's not many.
To a point though, there's still horses though that I think, how do I say it? There's still though, Willie Mullins, whatever else, would be more accepting of the fact that a race might develop a certain way, while there does seem to be yards, like David Bass used to be a devil for it, where they're going out with plan A. When plan A doesn't work out, they don't seem to allow themselves to drop into a plan B. It has to be forced plan A again, and you keep forcing plan A. Handstands needed a fence or two, in my opinion, where he could kind of get his breath back. It was his first time in big boy school. You know what I mean? As in, you're getting back up to the front now, and you're going to take on Royal Pagaille again, who's been there 6-7 years doing this nearly now at this stage. That's all. I just think sometimes the adaptation mid-race isn't there. It just isn't sometimes. Yeah.
Ruby on the road to Cheltenham at Lydia. Tony, I don't know, did you see this? They were talking about John Bond last year and the ride in the champion chase. So the way John Bond, when he was at his best last year, he was being good from the front, especially the race at Sandown and the slower. He kind of went, and it seemed to be how Nico wanted to ride him. And what went wrong in the champion chase was he tried it, and the horse kind of didn't get into a rhythm. And Ruby was saying what he should have done then is taken him back, instead of trying to force it, like forcing plan A, as me and Diarmuid were talking about there. Yeah. And he said that's what he did with Jango Baie, and he just let the horse find his rhythm. You'd be a better man now for noticing kind of trends from yards, Tony. Is there any of them that dropped him in anymore in Ireland? Elliot would sometimes, but not.
Yeah, I'd say Elliot's favourite thing is just to chase the pace, I would say. Kind of uncomplicated, right? I think Joseph O'Brien, flat hand jumps, they would like to take a lead a lot of the time. Although just a flat related topic, Dylan Brown was definitely riding them more from the front last season. I'd say that was under instruction. Cromwell definitely, like Flora and Porter there, kind of been an exception, but plenty of them that I'd say would take a lead there as well. I suppose that handicap lean and nature of that yard as well would, like in handicap, I think taking the lead is probably
used to it.
Set used to it. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. On Saturday, then we're still on Saturday. So Punchestown on Saturday, Tony. You can kind of take it away whatever way you want. I suppose the big one was Lossiemouth, but we can dance around the other races because there's some really good ones.
Yeah, the big one, sure, look, it was standard small field. I thought Town admitted a really good test now, despite the small field. I think he got the 3 out, 6 seconds faster than the next fastest hurdles race on the card. So, horse stamina now on the ground kind of had them all in trouble. And look, she did it well, no more than you'd expect. I'd say her pitching up here now is a fairly negative sign for some of the others. Your man, Anzadam, the market seemed to be thinking was going, hasn't pitched up there. Look, the first string would go here. I think that's fairly self-explanatory over the years. So we'll be interested to see how he fares the weekend. Iransi, I don't know. I don't know the combination of not turning up or hitting the ground, but he was beating 6 furlongs out, and Dawi too, I'd say, didn't seem to handle the ground. She was left very little to beat. Then you had that 3 mile novice chase. That was quite an interesting race. The Kings, a couple of good winners over the weekend. This lad, Oscar's brother, especially good winner. I thought Daniel King, he got Rocky's Diamond out of rhythm now, and I'd say that took a bit of doing. he gave him no peace in the lead. Rocky's Diamond looked really assured now the first 2 chase starts, but here he was low at ones. He just wasn't great. And maybe he wasn't himself, but I'd say some of it was the ride on the winner now, putting him on the pressure and things like that. So that was a very good win out of him. Can agree on.
That's he was their first ever runner for Conor King as a trainer, and he's after, well, I don't know what it was at the weekend, was it a grade 3? And he only has 3 horses and 2 of them won at the weekend. That's unbelievable stuff. So fair play to Conor King.
I love the way he's trained them too. Very similar to last season. Gave him kind of a prep run. Then he improved again to the second run, and then at the third run he won this year. He was beating, I think, a short head in a 3-way photo in Navan in a very valuable handicap hurdle last season. So let's to see where he kind of goes on from here. The problem for him is there's no 3-mile race now at Christmas. So if they're going to go to Limerick, it'll be shorter than ideal. So maybe they could go for the TS or something like that. The only thing is you're going in then to an 18 runner field now, and you're used to kind of bossing it. It is a different animal without the kind of handicap experience. Top Mouse Morris's horse in third now left a little bit on the table in that race. He was kind of a bit frustrating over hurdles, but looked to massively improve for fences when he won at Fairyhouse, making the running. But they dropped him out here, probably looking at the fact that Oscar's brother and Rocky's Diamond were in the race, but I think it didn't suit him at all. I thought he had a little bit of running to give, and I'd say the next day they might well go on him. What else did you have on the day? Nice subtle JP. What's that?
Sorry, no, I was going to say Kitzbühel. I mean, Townend was just giving exhibitions of getting horses back up the whole weekend, wasn't he?
Yeah. Good attitude out of you, man. A bit small, is he? I tell you, the enabler was the war for him anyway. Now he might lack a bit of scope, but look, no shortage of ability. Very subtle. JP McManus second string gamble landed there in the second last. Late money for this thing. What was it? Son of Anarchy. He finished up winning really well now. A frustrating horse last season, but I'd say bags of ability. Then you had the bumper. Do you see the bumper, lads?
On Saturday, there were so many bumpers. Which one? Oh, that was the Jiggins.
Yeah. Pulled it out of the fire completely. Like, Jesus, he really...
A reborn Dom Poli. Dom Poli, isn't he?
Just beat to the ropes, like 2 furlong and a half down, and rallies again, and that he showed a bit of promise there, definitely. And after that, was there anything else there? I thought the maiden hurdles were poor now. I think at Punchestown actually over the weekend, there'd often be a good horse would turn up, but I thought these now were fairly ordinary by standards of the meeting in the past.
Yeah, well, there probably was good maiden hurdle on Sunday. We'll get to that. But Dermo, a horse of yours, an old favourite, Jango Baie, one you've talked up when we were talking about season previews, and boy, oh boy, did he prove you right on Saturday.
Yeah, look, I put him up at 12s. He was no fancy price for the King George, but he's 4s now, so I'm kind of happy enough with that position. I thought he was awesome, Cass. As in, he's a horse who was good enough to win over 2 miles in an Arkle. Now that was a miracle performance, but he hung on to them. What I like is that he's still hitting that little bit of a flat spot, but as he went up to 2.5 miles, it didn't bother him. I love the fact that Nico just he wasn't foot perfect at times either, but geez, he'd lows left. He swung in. The race kind of tucked away. He's beat a good horse there in second.
I don't know, Dermo. I don't know. Gidley Park's head went up in the air now, and the tails went a bit as well.
He did when he was beaten, though, I thought.
Yeah, but he's beaten because of... I just wonder, I thought he was wildly impressive and jumped really economically. It was lovely. But I just wondered that race completely fall apart. Like Pictoria, I think, left his race in the Charlie Hall. That's, he didn't get to the front and boss at Ascot like he normally does. And Ile Francais obviously had a problem again.
Oh, John, there's a hole in him anyway. Yeah.
Yeah, so I can
see that angle. Yeah, no, that's fair. I think the money for Gidley Park anyway meant that he ran to 2 out. The clock would back it up anyway. It was a serious time as well. Yeah. I think he's very good. I also think going up and trip is only going to suit him. I think Kempton will suit him. He'll ride just off the pace, but not too far off it. I think he's a cracking... he was a cracking bet, 4-1 short enough now, but still he'll get bigger in the day, I'd say. But Jango Baie, I love him. I just think he's really, really good. He's also that quintessential old-fashioned Stephen Cascoll Cup horse, I think, in that he can kind of lob away. He's...
And the 2 mile
for 2 miles.
I love the 2 miles going up. Yeah.
You remember I thought San Juan might have been that at one time. But Jango Baie here, I think he's a class act. He's got the speed, but he's also stays. He'd look to me at the end, Cass, like 3 miles wouldn't be a bother to him, but I know that's bullshit anyway, because sure, who knows? But I still think, I'm really excited about that bet now. I really am.
And was the grade 1 he won last season, was that 2.5 as well? Did he win the Scilly Isles? That's 2.5, isn't it?
He was beaten in that by handstands. That's what cost you your bet, remember?
Yes, yeah. God, and you see the jukebox man at the weekend.
And if you actually watch that back,
that was a bad beat.
I will always defend Nico de Bonville because I think he gets a rough time of it. But if you watch that Silly Isles back,
yes,
it's an absolute stones of a ride.
Yes, it was
beyond the stones of a ride.
Yeah,
he rides him like he's it's the stones of a ride.
Well, we're getting to the King George. We'll talk about Jango Baie then again. And Woodo, God, she was good. Now I thought she was in trouble, and then he just pressed go, and off she went and won really impressively. I thought. How are we saying it? Woodo.
Yeah. Speaking of plan Bs, I think the Irish jockeys at times are a lot better at plan Bs. I thought Danny Gilligan, he took his medicine here. He ended up further back, I think, than he planned to be. I think he kind of always thought he'd beat Celtic Dynamo and Potter's Charm. Potter's Charm's a strange old horse as well. I mean, like, the Twist and Davis yard to be coming out saying that he may as well go for the stairs because there's nothing special in front of him and he's been kicked out of the way here. A very odd yard. But I thought this was brilliant. Absolutely a brilliant piece of riding. Real confidence in this mare. Hard for Gordon Elliott to kick him off this mare now. He's done all the winning on her. But I thought this was a super performance. What do you do with her though, Cass, long term?
Yeah,
let's talk about the old dreaded C word here at Cheltenham.
Yeah, what keep saying Cheltenham, Dermot, keep saying it.
Taking on lots of notes is hard, like.
Whatever about Cheltenham, lad, where's her next race? Like, I think that's the one that's nearly harder to fit in, is it? Like you're going to have to get creative here.
I think she'd be off her feet 2 miles at Leopardstown with Lossiemouth. Do you know, at Christmas, if she went that route, I think she'd be taking off her feet. So I'd say he'll try and find another mare's race. Didn't he mention one at Doncaster?
I was wondering that, or the Railkill was the other one I was thinking as well. At Cheltenham over 2.5 miles. I think that could be absolutely ideal for her. I'd say she'll kind of super sub in. I think she'll go where Lossiemouth doesn't go, I'd say.
Yeah, I'd say it could be right. He talked today, you know, could she be a champion hurdle horse? She didn't look like she had the toe to lay up as a champion hurdle horse now on Saturday, I didn't think.
No, she looks to me more like an ancient hurdle horse, I think, doesn't she?
Yeah, we'll do the double Lossiemouth for the champion is 3-1 and Woodo is 9-4 for the mares. So that's a 4-3 12-1 double there for the champion hurdle. That's actually a nice bet, isn't it?
That is nice.
Talk myself into it here.
That is a nice bet,
yeah.
At the Cheltenham Festival. Yeah, there we go. Go on,
yeah, good man. And we move on to Sunday then, and there was loads. We're going to, Dermot, stay with you, right? Because Tony, we've loads to talk about on Sunday. But you said you'd one horse in the UK on Sunday, Diarmuid.
Yeah, there was now Cass, speaking of mentions, this mare Pottersville is from the same colours as Pat's Fancy for Rebecca Curtis.
Red and blue, isn't it? I remember.
Yeah. She was bought she won a bumper in Clonmel really well. She was trained by Richard O'Keefe. She was punted that day and she joined his yard for a private sale. First time out at Newbury was kind of poor enough, but this day, watch this race back. Like, it's just Exeter on Sunday. It's not special. She absolutely devours them. I think Jamie Brace, I spoke before about sometimes jockeys in the UK, they're kind of such positive jockeys that they can kind of be surprised sometimes when a horse is going well under them. It's like, you know, kind of beating into them, kick from 2 out, see what happens. He just keeps looking under him, kind of. She belts away from this yard. This is an unbelievable performance. The horse in second there, she's Katie's Melody. She's a very good mare, and Pottersville absolutely hammers her. I'd love to know where they're going to go with her. I don't have a clue what her long-term target is. This was just a beautiful performance, and yeah, really surprised by it. But yeah, we should all watch it back. It's a serious performance. Really, really good.
Very good.
And a lot I think I'm starting to infect this man or something here. He sounds like the Dawn Run, like is the race he's most looking forward to here in the season now, a bit like last season. He must talk more about the Dawn Run than that. He's getting like me, find the worst race at the big meeting. Let's focus our attention on that.
every season it's the mare's chases where I end up going
Yeah.
through in about November for some reason.
He
And
was
now it's the mare's
40
novices
seconds.
as
He
well,
was
yeah.
40 seconds into that horse, and I was thinking to myself, and I didn't want to say that out. I was like, "Fuck, this horse is going to be rated about 111 now later on in the year, and will be kicked out of the way in a handicap hurdle like this time next year." And your man going on about it like all the good racing on all weekend. But I'm sure
She's so good, honestly.
Sure, she's very
she was
special
brilliant.
to connections anyway.
Look, Cass, a flower can blossom from a pot of moss. You
Yeah.
never know. Go on.
Tony, you said there was weak maiden hurdles at Punchestown on Saturday. Sortudo looked like he won quite a strong maiden hurdle, I thought, at Punchestown on Sunday.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd say a half decent maiden hurdle. I think Diarmuid's going to talk about the runner up, and I'll kind of talk about maybe. I found a good punting angle there. Like I think Gordon Elliott is the king of the stable tour myself. I think it's most informative anyway of some of them. Mullen speaks in a language I don't understand anyway. I don't know how. I just think he speaks in riddles or something. I don't know what it is. The Bromhead is so vanilla. Usually wasn't like this now in the past, but just doesn't say anything. And Gavin Cromwell is like the FBI are investigating him or something. The chap has been asked the questions. He just never says anything. But Elliot come out.
What was
and
his
he
name in
said,
The Simpsons? Johnny Titleist, wasn't it? That's
yeah, whatever his name is. But anyway, this Jalan Duderee, so the horse was off a season, but was third in the champion bumper before that, and I think it had been unbeaten up to that. And Sport and Life stable tour there Thursday evening, Friday, very up to date now. And Elliot said, we took him to Tipperary there recently. Didn't work great. He says, wee bit better at home the last twice, and we're kind of running them now to find out where we are with him. When I saw him now and put in the same price as Sortudo, I says, well, look at that he's a terrible price. Jalan Duderees, I mean, like that. He had told you the horse hadn't come back. Like to me, he actually finished up running quite well, I thought. But sometimes the stuff is hiding in plain sight. Like there was a time when Sortudo and himself, the two of them were 6-4. You saw what way the market went there. Maybe it was a bit the weakness in the rest of them as well, but. I do like Sortudo as a horse, but I mean, way into the race was a bit more Jalan Duderees. Sortudo actually put up a really good performance in the bumper last season, his last one. And that might be something to keep in mind with him this season. I seemed to improve but racing a lot last season. With the Fairy House race, he just blew that apart. Proper gallop. Beat the good horse of Queely's there. Queely's horse, I think, had won a couple of bumpers before that. I'll sort that. Since then, he's won the for auction at Navan. So I think Sortudo was really depth to his form. I'd be keeping him inside. And I'd say they'd probably stick with the 2 miles with him at the moment, the way they were sticking the hood on him. Like, I don't see any reason really to go up and trip. So yeah, I thought he was trying to pick in the maiden hurdle winners around the place. But did you see John Nolan give a good interview there as well at Cork? They landed a touch in that Academy hurdle as well.
Not his first. I think that's the second Academy hurdle he's won this year, isn't it? Because he sold one there. Did a lovely interview I saw over Cheltenham.
Yeah, he was interviewed with Johnny Ward on Sunday, and he kind of said, well, I saw the races there, and I bought 4 horses specifically for them, he said. And I've won one. I've got one sold away to Oliver McCairn, and I've 2 more to run. And he kind of was buying these horses. They were big. I don't know if he was buying them at flat sales or where he was buying them. He says they were big horses that no flat man would want anything to do with, he says. So, yeah, it was a really interesting interview. I know a lot of people are crying about them. But yeah, I think he's class.
He's running a busy hotel as well, like, and he's there. Yeah. Like, if you go for dinner in the Manila and Clonmel on a Sunday, I'd have cousins and stuff up around there. We'd often meet up there, family functions, and he's always there. Do you know, he's always running the show. He's training horses. He's a family man. I just think he's a fair man now, in fairness to him.
Yeah. So just it might be. I think the other 2 horses were called Manila Study and Manila Yoga, and he was knocking good crack out of Johnny Ward. He says, I'm very supple myself. I call that one Manila Yoga after myself. So, but anyway, that was good. What else? Do you want to go on to the John Durkan yet, or do you want to mention?
No, there's loads more before we get to that. So, Cala Conti, Feet of a Dancer, Westport Cove, It's Only a Game, all of those ones.
Cala Conti did it well. Very good attitude, I would have said. Like, again, she looks small compared to Jade de Grugy and Paul Nolan's horse, far from nowhere. But it showed a really good attitude. Jade de Grugy putting a jump wonderful now, I would have thought. To be honest about it, Townend on Westport Cove now, that was obviously a really good ride out of him there. And I suppose I was surprised that he coped so well with the bad ground. Townend did mention there was a kind of a fresh strip of ground around the inside, and he was kind of hard against that for most of the race. I think that was a bit of help. But God, lads, you'd have to be disappointed with Fleur in the park there. Like, he did get the race handed to him, no two out. I don't know, does he finish out a race at any point? I thought that his head carriage wasn't great. It wasn't something I'd really noticed before, but when you start looking back through his races, like, he's won a maiden hurdle and he's come there travelling a lot of days and hasn't really delivered. Now, I'd have a little bit of a question mark over him at the moment. Like I said, like, he got to the front and your man rallied under a penalty on ground he doesn't like, and coming off a little bit of a break. I don't know what else the Slattery horse wanted or needed.
Yeah. Did people talk about Sean Bowen, and Geno had a piece up and people were saying Sean Bowen better than Townend, but like, if you look at Townend on Kitzbühel, Westport Cove and Gaelic Warrior at the weekend, he's just unbelievable at getting them home, isn't he? Just whatever he does however he gets the tune out of them from the back of the last, he's incredible. Did you see?
He's a tease, as Tony says. He's a tease.
Yeah, because we're probably not backing him, and we've backed the one that's getting hitting 1.12.
Yeah,
the torture checking the graph on Betfair after. Geez, what's that joke? You backed it. Back to the 16, hit 1.12 with it. Yeah, they all do.
Yeah,
that,
and whatever chance you have of getting one chinned at this time of the year, in January and February, they just never seem to lose when they come off it. Like, the one of them might empty with fitness at this stage, but if just in January, if he's there, he's squeezing it on between the last two, you're just going, I'm beat.
Did you see the bumper? It's only a game on for Brazil. There was a bit argy-bargy there that I thought was interesting. Did you see that, Tony?
I actually didn't see that, because you know what, I got so peed off with Punchestown on Sunday without looking at the replays from Cork today instead. So anyway, and what happened?
Well, I tell you, it's worth watching back. It was very messy. So Patrick was riding one. It was a newcomer, a bit yellow and blue colours. The homebred one, not his homebred, someone else bred it. And Patrick was kind of 3 out from the rail. John Gleeson was trying to get a run through on the rail, and Patrick goes right hand down. Now the horse was Larry, in fairness to Patrick, but he definitely went right hand down instead of left hand down to take him out of trouble. Jammed into another horse. The other horse jams into another horse and just caused carnage there for a split second. John Gleeson looked like he'd have to go wide to have a run, and in fairness to him, it was a brilliant ride to stay where he was and grab a gap up the inner and win. But Declan Lavery ended up kind of from Patrick banging into John Gleeson on his horse, the winner. It's only a game. And Declan Lavery got a 3-day ban, and it was Patrick caused the whole thing. And it just, like, the son of God was not going to get the ban for the carnage, but something had to give, and Declan Lavery was the one that paid the price. It's well worth watching now. I could not believe that Patrick didn't get blamed for the incident. But anyway, my anti-Patrick bias continues on, but he's okay. He's got enough going for him in the world. Yeah, I can be the one. I could be the one tiny thorn. So I would not even a thorn. What would you call it? Splinter.
What did someone say before us? He's only a stone in his shoe, I think, wasn't it?
Yes.
Jack O'Connor and Mick O'Dwyer, someone famous, he said in Kerry years ago.
Yeah, stone
he's
in
only
the
a
shoe
stone in Mick O''s shoe, and that was wrong. Anyway,
yeah.
Jack O'Connor's more than that.
Yeah. And now the big one then Sunday, Diarmuid, Gaelic Warrior. The money came for him, and I don't know what you thought, but I thought everyone seems to think, this was the most amazing race ever. Halfway through the race, I was like, what is this farce we're watching here? Now, it ended up being a great race, but I didn't know what to make of it halfway through.
No, the horses at the back they're very keen to just take, but like, if you read Willie Mullins' notes in the Sporting Life, he very much kind of says it beforehand that the other 3 or 4 of them that this isn't the right trip for them, but we have to start them somewhere, basically. So it did feel like there was the front 2 were the 2. I do think Fast or Slow tried to get into it, he just didn't have the pace, and I say obviously JJ didn't want to kill him either in his first run back for ages. It did end up being the first 2. Gaelic Warrior just went with Paul, and then Paul managed to kind of get that breather into him. Fact to file, there's a bit of a hole in him though, isn't there? He does this a bit now. He doesn't quite find an awful lot. Last year he was probably lucky that he bumped into a Spillane Tower that you had mentioned on this show last year, Cass, that he'd had a terrible prep. He completely empty jump in the last. Fact to file now, like, as positive as you will be about Paul Townend, Mark Walsh gave him a splendid ride. Apparently, this was 12 seconds quicker to Win Fast or Slow won this race back in 2014 or 2024, not 2014. There was some going, which does kind of augur the fact that this was a phenomenal performance. I don't personally think that Mark Walsh did anything wrong at all. I think he gets there. I just don't. I think fact to file, he's one of these odd horses that 2.5 miles at Cheltenham might just be the only thing that suits him. I don't think he's not a 2 miler in my opinion. I don't think he's quick enough for that. He hasn't stayed. He might kind of pick up the pieces now, a old galloping, but if he runs in an old Lexus or something like that, Cass, I'll always be trying to take him on. I think he's nearly triplets apart from the fact that he sees out 2.5 miles around Cheltenham very well. Apart from that, I don't know. He's not great in the finish, is he?
No, he did. He did loom up like he was going to win the race. Like whether it was Paul Townend, whether it was Fact to File. What was it? Not Fact to File beat Gaelic Warrior that time at Leopardstown. That was 2-5. He was awesome that day as well. So it might just be a trip thing.
He was brilliant, but Gaelic Warrior nearly jumped his way out.
Yeah,
but he nearly ended up at Gaelic Warrior that day. In fairness, nearly ended up in the gold bar that day.
Yeah. Tony, your thoughts on the race? You're a good man for the times now. Did he go a million?
No, I don't think so. I would agree with you. Like it was a little bit beginner chasey. Like the way they went there. Like I backed Fact to Fail when he drifted. I enjoyed the race until the last 25 yards, to be honest. I thought it was going to be collecting. There was high drama, like from 4 out when your man started coming back to him. But the Cownan's ride was quality. But I'd say the quality part of it was what he did, like in the middle third of the race. I'd say that he went fast and hard over the first 5 or 6 fences, but the damage was done at that stage. Like he didn't crack on from there. He just kind of sat and parked a little bit there.
Yeah, he was kind of holding them together, giving them a breather. Between the second last and the last.
Until like they weren't massively slow. Like from I think I timed it from what was it, 3 out. Yeah, like they were faster than the 2 mile race anyway. The Craddockstown, I think, a couple of seconds faster. So like it wasn't. They certainly weren't dying. Fact to Fail would have had to work a bit to get in. I wouldn't be as negative as you, Jim, but now Fact to Fail, I still think he ran an excellent race against the Gaelic Warrior. I'd say it's very well suited to be Punchestown on slowish ground. I'd say Fact to Fail, though, it had been decent ground. I'd say might have got the better of him now. But
I don't know. Tony, Gaelic
yeah.
Warrior, that's not fair. Like people just suited by Punchestown, and like he won an Arkle, it was kind of soft. He won a bowl. And it was, it was good ground, wasn't it?
Yeah,
he can do it every way. This horse. It's just whether he's in the mood.
He can stay. Yeah. He can. Like, but there's something a bit oxo about him. Like it's either all or nothing with him. Like what? Why? The Arkle. No, I would say the Arkle was very soft ground that day. Like that was fair enough. It was really soft.
It was.
So,
but he's doing that left-handed. You know what I mean? True. Everyone says, he's right-handed Punchestown. He's won an Arkle over 2 miles.
Yes.
He's won a bowl over 3 miles. I said it last year. I just think he's the best horse in training when he's on his day. Like that's what he's like.
So what is it then? He doesn't like Leopardstown. Probably fair enough. I don't know.
And is he moody?
He's moody. Yeah.
I think he's a horse you couldn't back at a short price and always back at a big price, because if he's not in a going day, forget about it.
Yeah.
He should have actually gone very close in Pere Pass's Turners, but Patrick was riding him that day and he kind of nearly didn't put him into the race. Yeah, this in fairness, well, at the time he was considered to be a total head to Paul, so he had parked up on the other, so he was just trying to get him around, and he finished second, and he let him Pere Pass go and win the race. But I'd say if he'd actually put him into the race, he could have won. He could have actually beaten him Pere Pass that day, But ifs and buts, but he's a fabulous horse.
He is a fabulous horse. Yeah. Of the rest
only
of them,
7.
7, jeez. Yeah.
He's like he's been around longer than the Racehour, and he's only 7 years old. Like that's why it's amazing.
I thought Heart One was a bit disappointing. I thought he'd be able to lay up with them for a point, considering he was race fit now. I thank God I didn't back him. Jeez, I was thinking of backing him. I says, no, I'll leave him now. I feel a bit sucked into the Bromhead horses in this race in the past now. Mullins, whatever Mullins not having a few novices ready, he does have them ready for the grade ones at this meeting. I'd say they were happy enough for fast or slow. I know the way you're thinking. Again, I think everyone probably knows the story now, but the Cromwell is going through a fairly sizable lull at the minute. I think in November through to Saturday evening, and it didn't get an awful lot better on Sunday. Now he was 2 from 97 in the month of November. That's flat hand jumps. Now look, you could argue how many of them were really fancied. Well, some of them were. As Bud Fox was well fancied at Cheltenham. They had one that was well punted at was it Clonmel or so? There was one, no, Torres maybe. There was a fancied one anyway. One of the midweek meetings, really well back in the handicap order. I think he only finished 5th. So I don't know. You'd expect it to turn around, but hasn't happened yet. I know the way you're thinking. Yeah, just plodded on, I suppose, really, is all he did. But yeah, very good race. Yeah, maybe, jumps fans are a little bit. Our expectations have been lowered by all the clashes that are supposed to happen but never actually happen. So when we do get one that even approaches it, maybe we do get a bit carried away. But yeah, I think you could throw these two into the mix and maybe another couple, and you'd really have a proper race.
Yeah. Cromwell. He was on, I don't know what he was on. He was probably on Nick Luck Daily or something like that. But you're saying he's going so bad, and he said he knew he was going really bad when he'd a winner at an industry meeting on a Wednesday at Dundalk. Some yoke rated in the 40s, I think, won at 16-1. And he said he was getting congratulations texts off loads of people saying, well done. And he's like, oh God, I'm really going bad now. This is what's happening. Yeah. Right. Listen, that's our review, and we're going to hear a word now from our old friend Pat Cooney from our sponsors, Bet365. And we are joined now by Pat Cooney, as always. Pat from our sponsors, Bet365. Pat, starting with the race at the weekend, God, the John Durkan was a race for the ages, wasn't it? Or I didn't know, was it a farce or a race for the ages? But certainly it looked like the latter during the closing stages.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it was just a thrilling race from start to finish, wasn't it? And there was a talent-packed field, and the first and second drew a whopping 29 lengths clear of the third. And, you've got Grand National winners in there, Grade 1 performers. Admittedly, those behind probably want another mile. But that being said, it was a tremendous performance from both Gaelic Warrior and Factor File. And Gaelic Warrior, all systems go now, hopefully, for the King George on Boxing Day. But it's not too far away now, is it? And he must have had a hard race, so it's up to Willie Mullins to get him there in good shape for the race, which I'm sure is likely. But if you're backing him at 11:08, which he is now with us, you have to hope that race won't leave its mark on him.
Yeah, 30 odd days or whatever it is to the King George. It's a quick turnaround with a really tough race like that. So he's 11-8, you say, Pat. Two other horses through there had into the ring big time, didn't they? Jango Baie at Ascot and the Jukebox Man at Haydock.
Yeah, absolutely. And Jango Baie, he's now 3-1, having been 12. And he won impressively at Ascot as well. Now, you could say a few of them ran below their best, perhaps, in that race. But visually, he was very striking, and he hit the line hard. So 3 miles round Kempton won't be an issue for him. He'll be going there, at the top of his game as well. And then up at Haydock, the Jukebox Man, a bit of a hype horse, this, of course. A very much an unknown quantity when it comes to taking on these top notchers, but he looked the part as well when he won in just fluent fashion in a good enough race. He was 12-1 before the race. He's now round about 9-2. And then we've got also like Factor File. He's quoted at 8-1. Now, he won't be 8-1 if he does rock up at Kempton, but maybe he'll stay at home for Leopardstown. And then Banbridge is 16-1. I would imagine he'll turn up for the race as well. He's got nowhere really to go. But hopefully Gaelic Warrior, we see the John Durkan version of him turn up, and it really will be a thrilling race. And it's good to have some new names to talk about at in the chasing division, isn't it? With the likes of Jango Baie and the Jukebox Man as well now.
Yeah, it's going to be a hell of a race, and the Jukebox Man only has one way of going. He's going to gun from the front. Gaelic Warrior, I think, he has travelled away and behind at Aintree, and when he won the Arkle, he was kind of up in the van but didn't have to go. So a clash of styles as well between them. It's going to be a really fascinating race. We saw good racing the whole weekend, really. Lossiemouth was hugely impressive on heavy ground at Punchestown.
Yes, and of course that opens up the debate with her. Should she be going for the Mayor's Hurdle or the Champion Hurdle? She's favourite for them both at the moment, prior to what happens, of course, in Newcastle on Saturday. But there was another impressive winner at Ascot, and a very well backed winner as well, was Gordon Elliott's Mighty Mare Woodhoo, who she's now 9-4 joint favourite with Lossiemouth for the Mayor's Hurdle. Now, if Lossiemouth was to go on the Tuesday in the Champion, then that really opens the race up for Woodhoo, and she's probably going to run in that race as well. So she's very much of interest, and a very, very popular mare. She's only been beaten once, of course, and that was by Lossiemouth. So her path to winning at the Cheltenham might be made an awful lot easier. So things might maybe have to go wrong. Some underperform in Newcastle in the fight in fifth for Lossiemouth to be aimed at the Champion Hurdle, but it's certainly worth looking at Woodhoo's price in the mares, because she is only going to shorten up if Lossiemouth goes in the Champion.
And you mentioned the fight in fifth there, Pat. Looking forward to this weekend as well. While we're talking about Champion Hurdle horses, so you have Amsterdam in there, Constitution Hill. How are they betting on it? The New Line is favoured, is he?
Yeah, the New Line is narrowly favourite, 6-4. There's only 5 in it at the 5-day stage, so the New Line is 6-4. Constitution Hill 13-8. Amsterdam 11-4. And you got Golden Ace, who was disappointing up at Weatherby. Wasn't she a first time out? She's 20. And the Nemean Line of Kerry Lee, who's making up the numbers at 50-1. So it's an intriguing market. Be interesting to see how the market settles down. But none of them have run for a while, so the market's going to be very, very informative. I suppose what you do know is the New Line will be hard fit for the race, because that has always been the target, and I would imagine he'd be favourite to be favourite. But it would just be great to see the likes of the Constitution Hill and Amsterdam, who, very much an unknown quantity. I mean, people in the UK haven't even seen this horse yet. He's come from France and 2 wins in Ireland. He certainly looks the part, but we'll find out what he's made of. So it's going to be a real informative fight in fifth. I hope all 3 rock up at the top of the market and they all run to their best, because it'd be a shame if Constitution Hill disappointed once again. But the vibes do seem to be very good coming out from Nicky Henderson's yard. So a real intriguing race. But I think the punters are going to get with the stable that are hot at the moment, and we know the New Line is going to be probably more match fit than the other 2.
Yeah. The market, it's a very good point you make, because the Mullins guys and the Skelton guys, they really do get the market right. So it'll be I think you're right that the New Line will be strong because he's going to be fit. So it's whether the money comes for Amsterdam or not. The way it came, God, if some weight of money came for Gaelic Warrior, they knew yesterday, that was for sure. And looking ahead to the weekend, not looking ahead to the weekend, the horse we skipped over, Pat, was Grey Dawning, who was mighty impressive, winning the Betfair Chase, and he's probably going to have a break now. So we're looking ahead, really, can he win a Gold Cup?
Yeah, I'm not so sure about him over 3.25 miles. I think 3 miles is just about the ceiling of his stamina. Again, visually, he looked the part. You could name him the winner a long, long way out. Again, maybe he's flattered by that form. Haiti Kalor was very disappointing from the word go. Others were well beaten and underperformed. So beating Royal Pagaille doesn't sound like Cheltenham Gold Cup winning form to me, but he's probably go for the Cheltenham Gold Cup. I think he's about 14-1 for it. He may have his backers there, but we wait and see what happens at the top of the market. Of course, I know the way you're thinking is still favourite. We never saw him remotely involved in the race yesterday, so we were agonising. Will we ease him? Because he didn't show a great deal. But you're thinking, well, that was 2 miles, 3 punches down. He won a Gold Cup over 3 miles 2. Let's see him go over 3 miles plus before judging him there. But it's a fascinating market, the Gold Cup. I mean, the great thing with Cheltenham at the moment is that we haven't got any, a long list of short price candidates for the race. So there's plenty of diverse opinions in all the big races at the moment, which is great for us, good for turnover, and good for conversation.
Yeah, I just looked at your prices for the Gold Cup just before. I didn't check. I know the way you're thinking now, but from the ones that ran at the weekend, Gaelic Warrior 8s, Willie Stay, Grey Dawning 14, Willie Stay. Jango Baie just strikes me that he'll definitely stay. He just looks a stare. He's 20s. I thought that was maybe a touch big. The Jukebox Man 25s. Again, Willie Stay. So if I was to pick one there, I'd probably go Jango Baie, being the Diarmuid Nolan camp there. And a big race, and probably isn't going to have implications on the Gold Cup like it used to in the good old days, Pat. But the Coral Gold Cup, my favourite race of the year, or certainly used to be. It's not the best renewal this Saturday, but look, it's another big race, another big Saturday. They're coming thick and fast, and it'll be a good contest nonetheless.
Yeah. I'm a bit like you. You look at the Roll of Honour and you think, wow, these were top class horses and Gold Cup aspirations. you wouldn't really be saying that about any of the ones quoted. It's a great race for the stats gurus in the office. They say you need to have a second season novice and you need to be 6 or 7 or 8 years of age, which is all well and good. But I
Yeah,
think
aren't
19
they
of the
all?
top 20 in the market are all that age
Yeah.
group as well. So they're going to be right once again, sadly, I suppose. But we're sixth of field at the moment. That includes Maya Town of Lucinda Russell, who won so well at the Cheltenham Festival. He did go up a whole lot in the handicap for that, but he's a horse going places. I know he's been a big mover as soon as the entries were known, really. He's at the top of the market with Resplendent Grey. Of course, he won so well. He won our Bet 365 Gold Cup last year, so he can handle a big field in a big competitive race. It's an interesting race, one that has moved in the market. Highland of Nicky Henderson, who was disappointed on his comeback run this season, but all of Nicky's needed to run. And maybe people are putting faith in the fact on Boxing Day last year, he was second to the Jukebox Man at Levels at Kempton. And there's the Highlandese off a mark of 145, which puts him on 10 stone 7. And if you work on the bases, well, he made the Jukebox Man struggle and earn his victory a bit. If you put the Jukebox Man in this race with, say, 10 stone 12 or whatever, he would be very much of interest. So maybe he'd be worth a second look as well, but fiendishly difficult. And of course, there's always the prospect Willie Mullins might send 1 or 2 over as well. So yeah, that'll add to the interest.
Yeah, Willie is 3 or 4 in there. Will you go, Pat? I went last year and I must say, I think it's the best day's racing. I've been twice and I think it's the best day's racing you can go to. I just think it's a fantastic track.
Yeah, so it's great fun. I'm there both days, actually. The Friday's always a good card as well, but
Yeah.
Saturday will be a real thriller as well. So, and have your notebook ready because all races will have horses to follow to put in your tracker.
Yeah, well, Pat, enjoy it and thanks for joining us and we'll talk to you again next week.
Yep, great stuff. Looking forward to it.
Okay, thanks to Pat. And now we move on to the end of the show. We're going to have a look at the King George. We're going to look at a few races this weekend. And Diarmuid Nolan has a bet for the Old Shield of Justice. The King George first, we kind of touched on this with Gaelic Warrior and the Jukebox Man and Jango Baie. Tony, would you have any opinion on this? I know Diarmuid has a strong opinion. That's why I'm leaving him to go next. But what I'm interested at Gaelic Warrior, we referred to it there with Pat Cooney in the chat. Like it's only whatever it is, 31 days or something, and man, he had a hard race there now, Punchstone.
Yeah, I'm going to disagree with that a little bit. I think looking at the times, maybe he didn't have that hard a race now. My initial thought after it was, yeah, he had a very hard race, but then looking back, I'm just not so sure it was as hard as all that. Doesn't mean I'm with him because, as I said to you, he is a bit of an up and down profile horse. And what you said, maybe taking him on when he's a short price, I'd say might be a way to go. So yeah, I'd be taking that maybe as a possible way into it. And even the front three in it are taking up some percentage of the market there. You're looking at what? Geez, they're taking up 80-90% of the betting there between Gaelic Warrior, Jango Baie and Jukebox Man. I'd be inclined to take a chance on something else. It wouldn't be a remotely strong opinion, but fast or slow, they were very keen on this race last season. There seemed to be a bit of a mess up with the entry requirements and what have you. Wouldn't be surprised to see him build on it. And another horse that I did just like this performance the first day back at Naas, Champ Kiley. Form really from last season probably wouldn't stand up to much, scrutiny like the race in Punchestown where he beat Ballybourne. I think 3 or 4 failed to get round, but just liked his return. Just thought that was a really good effort over a trip short of his best, giving weight to a decent one in Only By Night who really would like 2 miles.
Yeah, I agree. I think I mentioned it after that race that King George. Do you know, Dermo, teeing you up here because you're going to give Champ Kiley the big one. But do you know why I haven't pulled the trigger? And I think Bet 365 are top price 33-1. This fella for the King George. It's Willie Mullins. He'd be a bit worried. Like he could, he could go to Tremor New Year's Day and run behind. I'm just worried about that. But make the case for him.
Well, first of all, obviously, look, I'm on Jango Baie. I'm thrilled with my position in this race. Now I can kind of sit back a little bit. Gaelic Warrior, 31 days. I would think that it's kind of tight enough, but Tony's times are always quite decent readings there. So I'll wait and see there. But I just think Champ Kiley was just really good last time. Was actually a touch of the Banbridge about that comeback effort. Last year, Banbridge ran a screamer over, was it 2 miles as well when he was nearly put it there? Richard Deegan was nearly thrown out over the side by Townend. But I thought that Cham Kiley, he's just one of those horses. He's 9, but Mullins has won this race with like Tornado Flyer, etc. This race can absolutely fall apart with too many and go from the front. This race does look particularly hot from the front as well, because I'd say Le Francais, I can't see them adopting those tactics again. They'll try and have a piece of it, as will Gaelic Warrior, as will the Jukebox Man. There'll be plenty of them up there. They're all good horses. They'll all want to be up in the vanguard. This could just fall apart. Cham Kiley, he likes to be he can be there himself, but he can take a lead. And just a 33-1 for a horse with his ceiling of ability, it is a very big price. So Jango Baie, I probably, to be fair though, Cham Kiley's not going to shorten a whole lot in the day though either. You know, as in he could be one there for the old position payout on the day anyway. You know, he'd be a each way horse. But at 33-1, I haven't pulled the trigger yet, but I'm not far off it. I just think he's very good, and he could pick up the pieces in what could end up being a devastatingly hot pace there.
Fantastic crowbar of the position payout in there, Diarmuid. I wasn't expecting that. I just started laughing to myself. Well done. They'll be happy with you. This weekend coming up, we have the Carl Gold Cup. We've the Fighting Fifth. We've the Margiana. Tony, what's the Margiana entries looking like? We've no Lossy Mouth, obviously.
Yeah, Hatton's
we don't
Grace,
have the
sorry,
entries,
Stephen.
of course,
Yeah.
Hatton's Grace, you mean?
Hatton's Grace, sorry.
Just to say about the Newcastle race, like there's only 5 in the Newcastle race, isn't there?
Yes.
The Fighting Fifth. Good to see where the pace comes from that. You know, who wants to make the run in there? Find it hard to believe.
The Me in Line is a 3-miler, isn't he? So he'll be going from the front, you'd imagine. And Constitution Hill can make it as well.
He can, but I wonder would JP would not have something there, you know, a decent horse to give the New Lane lead. He's the one kind of coming down. So just a thought at the time. Hatton's Grace meeting and all that. Are the main blowing races? Possibly not. You have a Drinmore there where Romeo Coolio versus probably Old Man Dingle, Gold Dancer, okay race. Ballybourne versus the Hugh would be kind of interesting as well, but no Royal Bond entries out yet. The one little angle I was thinking just got into Fairy House was, it may be a bit obvious, but the local man, Eddie Cawley, seems to have had a number of eye-catching horses now in the last fortnight to 3 weeks that he would be a man now that would be aiming obviously at Fairy House, but that's where he'd have his winner. Now might be New Year's Day, might be turn of the year, but I just thought he'd a couple of good eye-catching horses there now in the last fortnight to say 3 weeks. The 3 that kind of took my eye were Petty King, Attaboy Charlie. Now I see he isn't entering the 2-mile handicap hurdle. Might be a little bit sharp, but if it came up test, and maybe he get away with it and catch the beast. But not importantly, Come Walk With Me. He is empty as sin, and do not fall into the trap of that horse. He comes there travelling the 3 out every day, hurdles, chases, but there's been, to this point in his career anyway, there hasn't been a finish in the final 2 furlongs, so I wouldn't back him until he actually goes through a finishing effort.
Yeah, very good. Do you reckon our UK listeners like these trainers? We name more small Irish trainers, and then you know, Paul Nichols mightn't have got a mention in the whole podcast. I'd say we drive them mad. But anyway, we are who we are. We got to be who we are. The Carl Gold Cup is this weekend as well, and Diarmuid, I like one in here, and I'm surprised you haven't flagged this fella up. But I thought, he's entered a Thurles on Thursday, where he's declared tomorrow. We'll know, and listeners will know. But I thought if Henry de Bromhead ran Gorgeous Tom, I think Gorgeous Tom is a horse that loves to go from the front, and I love a horse in the Carl Gold Cup that's able to be handy up in the van, loads of class, really good prep for it. He was given way to Firefox and he was only beaten 4 lengths by him, giving him £4 the last day. Ran really well in the Brown Advisory, finished 4th, stayed on up the hill past Ballyburn. Kind of wouldn't be the class to go on to be a grade 1 open horse, but he's rated about 150, and he's that progressive second season chaser. Love good ground. There's a bit of rain forecast Saturday. There's nothing in the week leading up to it. So if they don't get the rain, I think Gorgeous Tom, he's 25-1 there now. It looks very generous to me. I think he'd have as good a chance as anything in the race if he's in the lineup. He's one of your old friends, Dermo.
He is. My only concern about him would be his experience in big fields. It won't be a huge field, but his experience in big field isn't plentiful over fences. Also, I don't know. So I think sometimes when a horse runs that stink once for you, and he was terrible in the Brown Advisory, that it's just hard to go back there
But
again.
hold on,
I
Dermo.
just,
He was beaten about 6 lengths and he finished fourth and he stayed on up the hill. You're kind of viewing it from the money end. And he was with them until he just got outpaced a bit too out. He didn't have the class. Now, like
yeah,
Watson
no, I
stretched
know,
them
but he
out
got.
at that point.
Maybe it's just because, Stellar Story ran the way he did at the weekend. I really am unsure about whether that race is worth anything at all now, and I would have been very positive on that race, but I think that was a bad race, and he just, to me, he didn't get close enough there. Like, I'm not sure, in my opinion now, I'm not sure that Brown Advisory is worth any bit more than that Ultimate Chase is. Like, really haven't. Do you know what I mean? That's all. Like, I think it was an average race in an average. Sorry, it was an average run in a below average race. So I just not sure I'd be kind of much gone on him. But look, best of luck to you, Stephen Cass. I'd be a big fan of. I like the Changing Man here. He's a horse that keeps bumping into one. He does find winning difficult, but Joe Tizard's getting wins out of him.
Do you know what he is, Dermo? He is one for the Bet365 position playout.
Position playout. There you go.
Because you get better terms on the each way extra when he finishes second.
And you can ask them specifically, can you take the win part out of it as well? Maybe they're seeking to do you a deal on that.
I think Tizard will eke a win out of him now again. And I thought he was there for the prep run. And I think Joe Tizard's horses are going so well that they end up getting closer to Henry's Friend, and they'd even kind of planned on it. He was there at the prep run. They buried him at the back, which he didn't run like that in the Ultima. And he came through at the end. I think Saturday's meant to be the day. And I think that day he was there to warm up. Tizard's horses, they're all just running so well. The Changing Man would be one that obviously he seems to always find one too good, but he's got £11 swing there with Meyertown. As well as that, Meyertown didn't have a prep run. I know Can Do Kid didn't last year either, but 15 of the last 23 winners of this race would have had a prep run for this. Traditionally, you did need it. Not saying that the yard can't kind of get them ready. Paul Nichols got one ready last year, first time out, but I do like them having a prep here. And the Changing Man was, of course, he's as frustrating as ever. I've never backed him before, but I just was kind of watching back a bit last night, and I thought that run at Ascot was genuinely very good. The winner had flown. He was flying through kind of late. And sometimes when a yard just gets hot like this, even the all poor finishers can all of a sudden find a breath of air. And I do think that he'll go he'll go really close here. The favourite Cass for Bowen and Murphy, he could be very hard to beat, couldn't he?
Yeah, good. He was good at Carlisle now, and he looks to be on the improve. It's not. It looks like a bad race for the race that it is. And then you go through it, and it's actually quite interesting. I thought
it's actually very good.
Meyertown's coming back. Resplendent Grey is on the up. It's a good handicap, as it goes. But
just on Resplendent Grey, what would you think of him? What did he give a hike for Carlisle?
Don't know.
I want to see here.
Sorry?
What kind of a raise did he get for Carlisle? He got £6 for that. Like, Jesus, that was £6 they didn't need to be getting there. Not ideal. Could be quite costly now in a race like this that's worth a multiple of the value,
I think as well, it's they seem to be very honest over there, don't they? They're all running. Even Handstands went for it. And even the Changing Man ending up as close as he did in that handicap, although it is the kind of Sodexo Gold Cup. But he looks to me now like he could be one who could end up running, kind of keep going, and he'll end up second or third in a Cotswold chase after Christmas and stuff. Him to me now, he looks like one of those typical English kind of grade 2 horses. I think he could take stopping, but no, happy with the Changing Man. A 10-1 Cass.
Changing Man for Diarmuid Nolan, and if he runs, you'll know. Gorgeous Tom for myself. Okay, and Diarmuid, the Sheet of Justice normally doesn't get touched too much at this time of year, but you have another one to add to the list.
I do, and Tony's quote from earlier about Jaylon Dudery, actually, to me anyway, would enthuse me even more. This was a horse who hadn't ran since kind of March 2024. Was meant to be back over bumpers last year. He didn't make that. I thought he travelled very well until the second last, but between the last two, he just kind of emptied them, which is more than fair. More than being emptied though as well, he wasn't as quick as the winner by any means. To me now, the big fear will be him bouncing next time, which of course could happen. But he's a horse with a massive level of ability. That bumper ended up being, well, the front three ended up being, the front two, ended up being quite decent. Romeo Coolio and Jasmine DeVoe. He wasn't far off them, and he ended up being backed into favour that day. I think he's very, very smart. I would imagine after an injury like that, he could end up being slowed down, but he stayed going very well at the weekend for a horse who'd missed that much. And I think 50-1 for the Albert Bartlett. Again, that whole famous line that I keep using, he's a massive ceiling of ability. And if he can maintain that at all, the winner, Sartudo, I can't see him going near an Albert Bartlett with how quick he looks. That market's wide open. And 50-1 for one here, that's the kind of Ante Post bet I like. And look, as Tony Keenan always says, if he doesn't end up here, he'll end up in the Martin Pipe, and we'll back him for that then. So it'll be all fine.
Yes, very good. No, good case made. Good case made, Dermo. Listener, if you are still with us at this point, we're about an hour and 7 minutes in. Well, fair play to you. You are a loyal listener, right? And we need you, because we are going to do a listeners' questions episode in the next couple of weeks. We don't know will it be next week or the week after, but leave comments on YouTube, or you can send us a message on X, whatever way you want to get the questions into us, and we will include them in the listeners' questions episode. That's coming up. Seeing as you're still with us as well, if you can like and subscribe, tell your friends, please do all that. And that's it. That's the Race Hour for another week. Thank you to Diarmuid Nolan, Tony Keenan. Thanks to our producers, Cameron and Pierce. Thanks to our sponsors, Bet365, and we will chat to you all next week.
Relentless, remorseless, and pounding Cordon Star into submission.